Today I'm making a very special video. It will be the longest video I have ever made, for sure. And it was inspired by a video I saw by a creator called Plant-Based Bride. I'm gonna link her below and you should go check her out because she's absolutely amazing. Her videos are just, they're soothing my soul when I watch them. But she basically had a whole bookshelf of books that she wanted to read, and she was like, you know, I'm gonna work out which one I'm gonna read next. And what she did was she read the first sentence of every single one of these books and rated it, and then that way worked out which book she was gonna read next. So I'm gonna do something similar because I too have a bookshelf, a whole bookshelf of books I need to read. In fact, I had to buy this bookshelf because all the other books that are in this bookshelf were like everywhere else, and it was messy and cluttered, more cluttered than it is at the moment. So I bought this bookshelf and it's just literally filled with books I have not yet read. So I too will work out which of all these many books I will read next. But I'm gonna do it different. So I've always picked my books by the cover. I'm sorry, that's what I am. I pick books by their covers. If I see a nice pretty cover in a bookstore, it's definitely gonna have me pick it up. Or a very good title. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to like my origins and look at all these books, which some of them I've bought by cover, some of them I've bought because they've been recommended to me by people that I admire and that I trust with their recommendations. Some of them were just people being like, giving away these books, do you want them? And me going, oh yeah, sure, I'll take these books, they sound kind of interesting. Or books that were just left out on the street, like for people to take. In COVID times. And so yeah, I'm just gonna look at all the many books. So we have a bookshelf up here, which you can't see right now, which is basically what I call my activism books, which is like books about like racism, social justice sort of thing. This is also still sort of there, plus some fiction, more fiction, definite fiction down here, and fiction down here. So this is my very crazy sort of sorting system, and I will work from top to bottom, and I will rate each cover and talk to you about why, and let's go. Alright, the first book is Sisters of Sword and Shadow by Laura Bates, signed by the author, which is always nice. This book has actually been staring at me because it's literally outward facing. So I feel very predisposed to be like, I want to read this book. But also, I do love the cover, I love the tones of blue, and it took me an annoyingly long time to realize that this was a woman. Sometimes that's why I'm blonde, although I don't like those strokes. So yeah, I really like this. I kind of like the sort of oldiness of this, and I have it with my activism books because the back says, an interesting thing happens when a man is defeated in combat by a woman. He tells nobody. And that just had me straight away. I then had to quickly scan just to make sure that there wasn't like straight away romance, which I tend to find a bit, it's not my kind of thing I read anymore. I read too much of it. I get very annoyed by it because it's often not very good romance. And yeah, I often find it's more about the romance than about the other cool stuff that happens. So I think this is gonna be a solid 4, you know? And I like it. Good book. It was a definite book that I bought because of the cover. Well, I picked it up because of the cover, shall I say. I remember being in our local Waterstones, which is like Barnes & Noble's bookshop type thing. And just this cover just really did it for me. Like, I love the little circling. It was like it was hallucinating. Hallucinating, that's not a word. Anyways, I like the colouring of it, and then obviously I realised that it was, because I hadn't really fully understood the title, and then I was like, wait, it's a Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. So this is actually, yeah, this is a solid 4.5. The Dog Lady by Akala. I picked this up in a charity bookshop. Picked it up because Akala's great. And it's basically, well, I'm not gonna go into it because I'm judging by cover, right? But you know, Akala wrote a very great book called Natives, which is all about racism in the UK and his upbringing and all that, which is great. And this is a fiction book by him. I think the cover is interesting. It's I like the color. This is a very stark color, and there's clearly like some storytelling involved on the cover. Does it excite me as much as the other two I've looked at so far? Probably not. I'd have to say I'm gonna give it a 3. This is a 2-book deal. George Orwell, Animal Farm in 1984, picked up in the same book as I picked up The Dog Lady. So it's also a charity bookshop find. Obviously I was like, George Orwell, yeah, hadn't had it yet actually. So I quite like the cover. It's very simplistic. It's got a little piggy and then like an eye for the 1984. It's very simple, but it's also, I would say, ooh, it's got a dollar tag on it and a very interesting. But I would also say not super exciting. I would probably say 2. Sorry, George. Gold. I remember at the time looking up what it was about because it was my colleague's book who was giving away books. No longer remember what it was about, and I'm not going to read the back because I'm judging by cover only. I do think the cover is very cool. Not entirely sure what it has to do with gold. Chris Cleave doesn't tell me anything as an author, which might be a fault of mine. He's written another international bestseller, The Other Hand. It's an interesting cover, but it really tells me nothing about what I'm going to be expecting to read here. So, sorry Chris, but I'm afraid it's a 1. My shit therapist. Yes, I swore. I picked this up in a lovely little independent bookshop in Islington. No, not Islington. Adriel. Sorry. It's great. I mean, that title just immediately captures your attention. I think the title is an important part of the cover, you know. The rest of it is like not super exciting. It's got some quotes on the front, which is always nice. You can be like hearing about other people being like, "Ooh, best book ever." So the rest of the book is not super exciting, but their title really did it for me. So I think I'm gonna give it a 3. Sorrow and Bliss by Meg Mason. Again, it's a book that I got from a colleague who was getting rid of some books. Means I looked up at the time what it was about. No longer remember it because it was probably like 2 years ago or something like that. I can tell you that my animals have already tried it and clearly liked it. I'm not sure. The title doesn't immediately grab me. It's got some quotes, but to be honest, I'm not that big a fan of quotes. And this image like doesn't tell me anything. It does say quite nicely Sunday Times bestseller, but then I feel nowadays that means nothing. Sorry, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to give it a 1. Yeah. Why I'm no longer talking to white people about race. I mean, I feel like I don't have to say much. I picked this book up immediately because it just screamed at me. Pick me up. I mean, the white and the black is just such a contrast, and I love the fact that the white people is like not there. This is my activism shelf, because all the stories are somehow related to some sort of social justice issue. I also know immediately what this book is going to be about. So this is a really strong 4. Really strong 4. Good job, Rainy. In Their Shoes. I mean, the title is interesting. It's kind of making me think, oh, How does that mean? Especially because I can't remember what this is about. I think this is another one where people are giving away books. It's got quotes. I suppose the color is quite nice, but it doesn't really super intrigue me. So I'm gonna have to say it's a. Oh, I looked at it back. It's a 1.5 on the cover alone. An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. Sounds interesting. I feel like I kind of get a sense of what it might be about. I like the sort of divisiveness of the cover. This was me, a German, trying to remember if that's how you say that word. Moving. Barack Obama. It is also, and this should be noted, it's a winner of the Women's Prize for Fiction. So I kind of like, you can't hardly see it, it's like writing. I think this is a strong 3.5 for me. It's not super exciting me to read the book, but it's intriguing me. Yeah. One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. I like the color. I like there's clearly some sort of like, this is what this book is about. I'm thinking queer relationship, which immediately excites me. I think it's quite clear it's like a romance type novel. I don't tend to read a lot of romance, but the fact that it's clearly seemingly a queer relationship or non-traditional heteronormative relationship immediately excites me. So I'm gonna give it 3.5. Yeah, 3.5. Rainbow Milk by Paul Mendes. An Observer 2020 Best Debut. The title quite excites me. I don't know why. It gets my creativity going. Like, oh, what could this be about? Ooh. I'm also trying to look closer at what the cover actually is showing me. I can't quite tell. It's a sort of thing where you have to look really closely, which I quite like. It doesn't super excite me there, so I think, sorry Paul, but you're also a 3.5. Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. Obviously this one is very famous, and I have seen the movie, so a bit of a spoiler alert. But judging it just on the cover to make me actually want to read the book about it, having seen the movie about it, yeah, not super excited. I mean, I think the title is exciting, but the cover itself isn't like super inspiring, and I'm cheating a little because I know where it's set. I feel like these little bits are a little bit misleading. So I'm afraid it's a 2. Sorry, Delia. The Boy in the Striped Pajamas by John Boyne. This is a book that, as a German, I am quite excited to read. I think I have read it when I was in school, or seen the film about it. I think I've seen the film about it, definitely. The cover itself, I suppose it's interesting. It clearly shows like kind of the context, like, you know, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas is about the uniform that they wore at that time, and you know it's about a child. Is it as exciting as some of the other books? Probably not, so I would probably give it a 3, I think. Yeah. So these are actually 2 books I picked up together from the road. And the first one is Escape from Camp 14. And these are basically just all books that look the same, but they're like different books, if that makes sense. And this is about one man's remarkable odyssey from North Korea to freedom in the West, which it says on the cover. So it's basically the cover is here. And it's an international bestseller. It definitely sounds interesting. Like, I'm intrigued immediately. I'm like, I quite like sometimes when books do this, when they give you like a one sentence summary of like, this is what the book is about. Because then you're like, ooh. And it tends to be a bit like, ooh, I want to know more. So this definitely grips my attention. The rest of the cover, I would say, is not super inspiring. So I'm gonna give it a 3, I think. I feel like I'm giving a lot of 3 stars. Maybe that's me like trying to be like, it's not bad, it's not good, it's alright. I'm a very like, I like to be nice to people. The Moaning of Life by Carl Pilkington. The cover immediately makes me laugh, so that's great. I mean, I also know Carl Pilkington. I know a little bit about who he is. I'm not sure that a hero of our times from the Mail on Sunday is telling me that this is a book I definitely need to read, because I'm not a big fan of the Daily Mail or the Mail on Sunday. So while this is making me laugh, I'm thinking it's not making me super wanna read the book, so I'm gonna give it a 2, and not just because I'm trying not to give 3s anymore. Right, so we're done with one shelf. We're now moving on to this shelf, which is also sort of activist-y type books and others. This is really exciting. I haven't looked at some of these books in years, because I've had them for years and just not read them, because I'm also part of a book club, so we're always reading those books, and also trying to reread some of all of these books. So yeah, I'm getting very excited. It's definitely exciting me to read the books. So let's keep going. Right, I cleaned it up a little bit. So let's start with this one, The Uncaged Sky. I actually just got it. Again, a colleague was giving it away. It's my 804 Days in an Iranian Prison. Again, I like it when I do like a 1-sentence summary of like, this is what it's about. Because that immediately got my attention. I was like, oh, I want to know this. The Uncaged Sky also, like, I like the title. I like the cover of it. It kind of, which is very counterintuitive because it's about being in prison, but kind of gives me a sense of peace. It makes me feel very calm. It makes me feel like it's going to be a horrible story, potentially, but at the end of it, I'm going to feel great. Does that make sense? So, Carly Moore Gilbert, I'm going to give you a 4.5 in my completely subjective assessment. I just like it. I like the stars. 4.5. The Struwwelpeter. So this is a German book. It's a children's book. It is indeed. It is a children's book. Look it up sometime. I obviously know what this book is about. I read it a lot when I was a child, and I brought it back from Germany because I was like, oh, I feel like I want to reread it, you know. I think I'm gonna give it a 4 because I like the yellowness of it. I like the wording of it. You can kind of see what it's about. It's about a boy that doesn't brush his hair and doesn't trim his fingernails. But does trim his fingernails. Or is very uncomfortable on his shoes. So yeah. And Neil Gaiman. I just murdered his name. Neil Gaiman. Norse mythology. Neil Gaiman is a very famous name, if you know. If you know, you know. I got this book from my husband, who still has not read it, so I'll probably read it first, even though it's one of like over 100 books on my bookshelf. I will know by the end of this how many books I actually have on my bookshelf. Right, this is another one from my times as a child, which you can tell by the fact that it's not looking very nice. It also got look me putting my name into it. Wilhelm Busch, Doch die Käfer kratze kratze, which basically translates to, but the bugs scritchy scratch. I know, right? And it's again filled with like very similar to Struwwelpeter's little stories that are like very short, very illustrated stories that children would be read. And again, when you grow up and you realize the kind of stories that your parents read to you when you were a child, you were like, wow. Anyways, as for the cover, I like this is basically old German writing. And I used to be able to read this really well. And I have to say that the title, with the bug scratchy scratch, it's very, it like immediately does something to me. So I'm gonna give this a strong 3.5, you know? Even though the cover itself isn't super, but it shows you some type of the illustrations you will see. But yeah, strong 3.5. Lovecraft Country. Again, I kind of am cheating because I have seen the show on HBO, which I love, by the way. My husband loves sort of Lovecrafty stuff. And I think the cover is quite interesting. It's got like an old, faded look to it. You've got like a house and then clearly something that looks like a monster beneath it. It's not super inspiring to me though. I'm gonna give it a 3.5 as well, I think. Kylie Reed, Such a Fun Age. It's a Watchstones exclusive and it was a buy one get one free, which I'm sure I did. This actually, especially this, has been staring at me like 4 months, and it's not just been staring at me from up there, but also because my colleague in her like Zoom meeting background also has it in her background. I'm like, you've got my book. So it's been staring at me like multiple different ways. I do quite like it. I like the hot pink on the white with the blue behind it. I feel like you kind of immediately know, I mean, I remember what the book is about, but you kind of get from the cover, like there's a woman with a child and a police officer, so you're like, oh, something's going on there. And clearly the woman is like darker skinned than the child, and you're like, what's going on there? So I would, it's also longlisted for the 2020 Booker Prize. So I'm gonna give this a 4. Yeah, it's a strong 4. Open Water by Caleb Asuma Nelson. I hope I pronounced that right. It's a Waterstones exclusive edition and it includes Prey, a short story, which I'm like, ooh, extra stuff, I love it. Candace Carty Williams said, beautiful and powerful. I love Candace Carty Williams. Her book, Queenie, is literally on my table right now. I feel I immediately know it's about black stories, which immediately excites me. A lyrical modern love story, so I'm like, it's clearly about like a love story between these two people. I like the colors of it. I like the very like in their faces of it. I'm not usually a big fan of having like faces on the cover. But I really like this. I'm gonna give this a strong 4.5. It's another one that I bought by the cover, for sure. How to Argue with a Racist. I love the blue. I love how the title is the whole cover. This is, I think, the one that I got with Such a Fun Age for half buy one get one free. It says an essential book on a critical issue. It talks about history, science, race, and reality, which immediately makes me go, ooh, science. They're looking at it also with a scientific sort of background. Yeah, this is a really strong cover. I'm gonna give this 4. Yeah, I didn't like it as much as Why I Don't No Longer Talk to White People About Race. Like, that cover was a bit better for me, so that's why it's a 4, not a 4.5. The next book is The Five, The Untold Lives of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper by Hallie Bubenholt. I remember I put this book on my list because it won, I think, the non-fiction award. So this is non-fiction. I don't read a lot of non-fiction. But I'm sure I'm gonna love this. I'm very excited about the fact that, especially with Jack the Ripper, we always look at the person doing it, as opposed to the victims. Like, there's always, like, you always look at the perpetrator, not necessarily at the victims, and empowering the victims. So this is talking about the women that were actually killed, who most of the time we only know as by their names and by what he horrifically did to them. So I'm quite excited about this. I like the kind of the style of this cover. It's like The Five, very bold. It tells me immediately what it is about. The one-sentence summary strikes again. It's got some lovely little quotes. You know, and it's kind of giving me this like old-timey vibe with the like people. So I'm gonna give this a strong 4.5, I think. I really like this cover. Girl in Pieces by Kathleen Glasgow. I picked this book up by its cover. I was browsing in my bookstore and I was intrigued. I was like, there's this smudged Girl in Pieces. The title, Girl in Pieces, I found that super exciting. Like with this sort of scratched out, but you can kind of tell that this might be resembling cuts, like somebody cutting themselves. So I find it immediately tells me something. I'm going to read a story about a girl struggling, probably self-harming. So I'm quite interested in reading this, and I remember I picked it up, read the back, and I was like, oh, exciting, let me read it. So I'm gonna give this a 4.5. These books I'm very excited about. I got both of them at a bookshop called Upper Street Book Shop in Angel. It's the one where I also got the Shed Therapist one from. And basically they do this thing which is called a blind date with a book. So the book is wrapped in brown wrapping paper. And all, yeah, there you go. If you are there in London, go check it out. It's an amazing bookshop full of like really like cool books about LGBTQ issues, racism. Like, it's a really cool independent bookshop. Go to it. Stop shopping at all the big bookshops. But yeah, it only tells you a little bit about it on the front. This whole concept excites me so much. I'm like, ooh. And I actually do want to read it. And every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, I want to read this book. I want to know what it is. I don't know what it is. It excites me, you know. And this one says Mythics, Silkworms, Contemporary, and Epic Saga. I don't tend to read many epics, but Silkworms does something to me. I don't know why. Nowadays I'm like, Dune. It's just like such a random word with the others. So I'm gonna give this gonna give this a 5. Yeah, I'm like, I really want to read this. This is the second book I bought like a year later. So it's not as old as the other one. I actually bought it this year. And it just says Slavery, Haunted Past, Motherhood, and Guilt. I'm quite intrigued by this. Like, it's clearly about slavery, about motherhood. I think when I picked this up, my friend who was with me and who's a massive bookworm was like, hey, I've read this book. And I was like, how do you know? Like, just a pretty generic words, girl. This one doesn't excite me as much as the Silkworms. I think the Silkworms do something to me, so I'm gonna give this a 4. Right, we're on to the third bookshelf, which is this one. There's a lot of books in this bookshelf, as you can tell. But I'll just get through it. I have a feeling this video is gonna be very long, but bear with me. I hope you enjoy it. So let's get started. Picked this up by the side of the road. I was like, oh, sounds interesting when I read the back of it. I think this little demonic child with the clock is quite interesting. I would say it's a very normal thriller type book. Like, I immediately know it. This is a thriller. This is what I can expect. I suppose Lincoln Rhyme is the detective that has probably made appearances before. I tend to not like this when crime authors do it. I feel like it's like Disney, you know, when they're like, ooh, in order to understand our new film, you also have to watch all the other films and the series that are only on Disney Plus. So you're gonna have to subscribe to Disney. That sort of thing, you know. I'm not a big fan. It's like, I don't want to buy all other 5 books just to read this one book that I might be interested in. But anyways, I would probably give this a 1. Yeah. Sorry, Jeffrey. Can I just also say that I have a thing? Because this book has only been staring at me like this. So I am making a note as in Jeffrey Deaver, 1 star, not the title of the book. Because all I know is it's Jeffrey Deaver. That's all that's been staring at me. I don't know why authors do this. It's like, I think the title should be more interesting than your name. But anyways, unless you're like, you know, super famous. Catch Me If You Can. So this is the book to the movie. I think the book was written after the movie. I can't remember. I can't remember if Catch Me If You Can was made from a book that was already written, or if the book was written after. I know exactly what this book is going to be about because I've seen the film. I suppose I respect the fact that they were like, this is just going to be about the film. Like, let's not think about the story. Let's think about the fact that it's got Tom Hanks and then a copy on it. It's got the certain, like, you immediately know they are adversaries. Like, if you didn't know what the story was about, which, have you been living under a rock? But you immediately know they are adversaries, and there's like the arrows with like "Catch Me." So I suppose this isn't a bad cover. It is written by the guy who did it, so it might be that they wrote the book before the movie, in which case they re-released it after the movie, which this cover, obviously. So I'm gonna give it a 2. I don't know. I'm not sure I like when it panders so much to the movie version of the book. Das Lachen der Hyänen, or The Laughing of the Hyenas. And I feel this is where I have to reveal that I had a long phase where I would buy books only by their cover, and I would have a thing where if there was an eye on the cover, I would buy it. I didn't even much care what the book was about. Nowadays I'm a bit more selective, but when I saw this, it reactivated my old eye obsession. It's like interesting. It's clearly an animal eye. It's got the red in it. The red is repeated down here. The title, The Laughing of the Hyena, made me immediately, ooh, what is this about? This is by a German author, I believe, Johannes Sacher. I picked up in Germany in a German bookshop. And yeah, I'm gonna give this a strong 4. I like it. It touched my eye obsession. I like eyes. Richard Osman, The Thursday Murder Club. This book has actually been staring at me from various billboards and in bookshops for a while. I've never read Richard Osman, even though he's quite prolific. But I do think that the title, The Thursday Murder Club, was really exciting to me. Like, now that I kept picking up and reading it and going like, not quite sure. Like, there was just something about it that didn't totally grip me. But then this came up for like somebody being like, I'm getting rid of books. Do you want it? And I was like, so this is a book. It's got some quotes on it. It's got a little fox, I think. I suppose I'd give it a strong 3.5. 3.5. Black Butterflies by Priscilla Morris. This cover immediately spoke to me. I like the title, Black Butterflies. You can see that it's sort of evoking of flames, but in an interesting way. It's got lovely little quotes without being like all about the quotes, and obviously it was, you know, long-listed, shortlisted even, for the Women's Prize for Fiction in 2023. I think it won the Women's Prize for Fiction in 2023 as well. Can't quite remember. This is a strong 4.5. I like it. It really makes me want to read it. Something about color. The colors speak to me. Before the Coffee Gets Cold, by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I hope I pronounced that right. This is a global bestseller. I kept seeing it on like book recommendation lists and stuff, and a mate of mine read it and she loved it. And I really value her opinion. So I was like, ooh. Before the Coffee Gets Cold, I think the title is very intriguing. You're like, ooh, what is it about? It also kind of gives me, again, a quite cozy feeling. I quite like it. It makes me feel like, I think I'm going to enjoy this book. I think this book's going to be a feel-good book. I might be wrong, but that's the feeling I get from just the cover. Looks like German coffee time. There's a, which if you don't know what German coffee time is, look it up. It's amazing. Start doing it now. And there's, you get cake. And there's a cat. So I'm gonna give this 4. Strong 4. Nicht verzagen, Oma fragen, which basically means don't wait, just ask grandma. And this is basically like tips, tricks, and advice from grandma, and it's basically full of like, I've read this book before. It's full of like things like what to do if, you know, your meat is too tough, sort of thing. I've read this book before. I brought it back from Germany because Mom was like, you have too many books. And I just thought, hey, why not read this again? I might learn something. I'm not the best housewife in the world. Not that I want to be. But yeah, I might learn something. I might have fun reading it. As for the cover, I would say the cover tells you exactly what it is about, which is great. Is it immediately going to make me want to read it? Certainly if I want to know what the book is about. So I'm going to give this a 3.5. Killers of the Flower Moon. This book was on my list. I put it on my list after I saw the movie, and I was quite interested to read a book about it, wondering if the book would maybe tell me a bit more about the story than the movie did. It's this oil, money, murder, and the birth of the FBI. It hasn't been replaced by the movie cover, which I quite like. I think the cover does look very interesting. There's something about the black with the red paleness here. Again, like the title quite big. I like when the titles are quite big and in your face. You can immediately tell it's about the relationship between these two. I'm gonna give this a strong 4.5. Yeah, and it's got one really good quote, which I like. A riveting story of greed, serial murder, and racial injustice. Which made me go, oh, interesting, gonna read it. Yeah, I actually just got this as well, so it's very new in my bookshelf. I got it for my anniversary. The Rabbit Hutch even, by Tess Gunty. It was the winner of the Waterstones debut fiction prize, as it tells you, very big here. And there's like a fun thing where like the book doesn't go as, you know, it's quite fun, I think. Signed by the author. How exciting. Is it really? Oh, it is indeed. Oh. This is actually a book that I remember I put on my list because the Plant-Based Bride that I mentioned before read it and liked it. and it sounded really interesting from what it was about. I'm convinced my husband bought it because he got my whole list of like 162 books that I'm interested in, and I'm convinced my husband bought it because it's called The Rabbit Hutch and we own rabbits. I'm fairly certain that was his thinking. I was like, oh, did you look into what this book is about? He's like, no. I was like, did you just pick it because it says rabbits on it? He's like, yeah. I like the cover. I kind of know what this book is about because I literally just read it because I just got it for my anniversary to get it with. Sorry, this one. Oh, my books just fell. That's what that was. I like it though. I like, again, that the title is very big. I like the colors on it. I kind of like, it kind of gives you a hint of what it might be about. I guess clearly something about, if I didn't know what it was about like blocks of flats that might be in quite destitute things. And The Rabbit Hutch as a title, like, it immediately looks like tight and like put together. I know the book isn't about animal abuse because I looked it up, which I could also be thinking. But yeah, just immediately makes me think of confined and it's an intriguing title. It isn't like, you know, like, I don't know, the Thursday Murder Club, where it's very descriptive. It's sort of like it gets your creativity going, you know, but probably in the right way. So I'm gonna give this a strong 4.5. I like it. Death of a Bookseller. I bought this book by the cover, and because it kept looking at me in the bookshop, it was like, look at me, Christine, pick me up. I mean, the cover is pretty darn epic. I mean, the green on the pink on the green, it's just like, poof. And then the title, Death of a Bookseller, you're like, oh my god. You kind of immediately know it's sort of like a thriller type vibe. You've got the blood as well. Oh, it's got a little snail. I never noticed this before. You've got one good quote, again, an all-consuming thriller. I feel like my criteria now is like, I really like a book when the title is very big, the title is very like either very intriguing or very descriptive. It's got like a one sentence summary of what it is, or a one really good quote. And the cover kind of gives me a bit of intrigue on like what it might be about. And it's got nice colouring on it. Or like lack of colours. Black and white, right? I'm gonna give this a 5. This green, it probably doesn't come across, but it's really like neon green. 5. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I bought this years ago when I went to see the play. It's parts 1 and 2, because if you don't know, the play is like 2 parts. Obviously, just noticed that the sticker is the wrong way around. Isn't that funny? Ooh, it's special rehearsal edition script. That's nice. Obviously, it's Harry Potter, so you immediately like, ooh, ah. Sorry if I just knocked it. I've seen the play, obviously, so I know what it is about. I think the cover is very interesting. It's got like the golden with the black, and it's got this, which is like a very main symbol of the play that I'm still not sure I entirely understand. With the child in the middle. I like the wings. Obviously it's based on an original news story by J.K. Rowling, which, let's just say I am not J.K. Rowling fan any longer, for obvious reasons. If you don't know why, count yourself lucky. The play was put on by Jack Thorne. I would say the cover is very good, and I also kind of want to read that because I'm like, I'm not a fan of J.K. Rowling's anymore. I just want to read it. But then also, once I read it, what am I gonna do with it? I'm not gonna give it to somebody else because I'm not gonna fuel J.K. Rowling's Success. But I would probably give this a strong 4. Yeah, it's a good cover, which she didn't do, so that's fine. I can. Yeah, I think we are now deep into the fiction part of this shelf and have left the activism part of it. So this is Kathy Reich's Fatal Voyage. I feel like I immediately know this is a thriller. I think I picked it up by the side of the road again. That's what I usually do, because I wouldn't ever really pay money for a book like this. But I will read it if I can have it for free or in the library. Yeah, I probably picked it up. It sounded kind of interesting. There's certainly some sort of intrigue going on. You kind of know what it's going on from the title. Is it super intriguing to me? No, the colors are a little bit like, I'm gonna give this a 2. Whose life is it anyway? This is a book I definitely bought for school, as you can tell by this very school-like appearance of it. I don't actually remember what this is about, but judging by the title, Whose Life Is It Anyway, I'm gonna assume it's got something to do about the right to die, maybe, or potentially birth, maybe disabled births, you know, very like into like should somebody live sort of question. I'm not entirely sure that this is the most inspirational part of the cover. I feel like I don't really try and make school books very interesting as the cover. Like, it would make me more excited to read the book, you know? Anyway, I'm gonna give this a 2. The whole cover is like a 0 for me, but the title is quite interesting, so I'm gonna give it a 2. I actually had to check there. I was like, what's it about? I was right. Which I always like doing. So it was clearly exciting enough for me to want to know what it was about. So hey. Next book, The Sanatorium, or Das Sanatorium, because it's German, by Sarah Pierce. I think it's British, translated into German. Du willst hier gar nicht mehr weg, bis es zu spät ist, means you don't want to leave until it's too late. I feel like I immediately know this is about some sort of, it's a thriller, clearly. This is about a sort of, I used to read loads of thrillers. This is clearly about like this sanatorium place. You can't escape it, probably stuff happens. This is clearly the sanatorium they're talking about. Looks very idyllic, as all the good murder places do. So I'm gonna give it a 3. It's not like super exciting, but this was a cover pickup, so I think it was a title pickup mainly. Yeah. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Stieg Larsson. I don't remember where I got this one from. I think I picked it up by the side of the road. I make it sound like I just walk around and pick random books up on the side of the road. But there's, especially in COVID times, there were a lot of people who just like put books out and were like, have them if you want. I've seen the movie, so I know what this is about. I'm quite interesting to read the book the movie was made from. You obviously have the title quite big, as I like. You also have the author equally big, which I'm not entirely sure I like as much. Stieg Larsson's obviously very famous. You have the girl here with the dragon tattoo. I do feel that they could have done something more exciting. Like, in my brain, I can already make a better cover than this, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna give this a 2. I just noticed that it's got like weird little like thorns. I'm not entirely sure what this is referring to. Are they trying to mimic the tattoo? I don't know. Anyways, 2. This is a 2. Did I say 2 before? It's a 2. Little interlude. I had a rabbit when I was a teenager. It had unfortunately passed away quite young, at about 1 and a little bit. And I was always, back then you didn't have a lot of cameras. It wasn't really a thing. And I was always like so sad because I didn't have a photo. And then the other time when I was in Germany looking through some old stuff, I found a photo and I like took it with me. And then when I was here, I was like, where did I put the photo? I don't remember what I did with the photo. And I just found it. It was on top of these books. And look, there it is. There's my little rabbit. His name's Maxi. And that was my guinea pig called Knöpfchen or Button. Very cute. I'm very happy right now. Anyways, moving on. Killing Eve. This is the book that the show is based on, but clearly they have decided to just run with the fact that the series is so ridiculously successful, and it is great. You should go watch it. Sandra Oh and Jodie Comer are amazing in it. But they were like, let's just abandon any like pretense that we don't sell this book because of this show. So this is the same title that the show has, so that's quite nice. It says Codename Villanelle, which the show does not have. You obviously have Jodie Comer kind of having Sandra Oh in some sort of headlock. Clearly indicates they are kind of adversary, but it's also kind of like intimate. So it clearly talks about their relationship. I kind of like the darkness with the red. And just to say, this is sort of how I feel the girl with the dragon tattoo should have been more like the title here and then maybe the girl here, you know? So I'm gonna give this a 3. It's not super exciting to me again. Like you're selling it more on the show than the book. So 3. Tattletale by Sarah J. Norton. I don't mean to not say the author's names for everyone, and it's not like, it's basically when I think of it. This is Thrill of the Year, so I mean, if I hadn't known by just the cover, which I would have, I now definitely know this is a thriller. The Perfect Brother, The Perfect Fiance, The Perfect Revenge, question mark. So that's quite nice. It's got like a little teaser for the book. I'm not entirely sure what's up with the woman in the cowboy boots. It's a little strange to me. It's clearly London, because I think that's the Shard. It's clearly something about relationship drama, thriller type thing. It's not super exciting. The orange is quite cool. And Tattletale as a title is quite cool. But sorry, I'm still just gonna give it 2. Doesn't super excite me. This was quite a nice surprise. I did not know that I had a book by Ottessa Moshfegh. But here it is, Eileen. I've seen other people review other books from Ottessa, so I had no idea that I had one. That was a nice surprise. I think this is again a book that I was given or picked up. It was longlisted for the Man Booker Prize. It just says Eileen. It's quite interesting when books are just named after a protagonist. I find it very interesting. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I feel like it clearly tells me something about a lone, solitary woman thing. Aside from the name, Ottessa, which a year ago I probably wouldn't have known about her that much because I didn't know her. I'm not sure this would have really struck me. I think this is a 1. I'm sorry. Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I know the movies, I know what the book's about. The addictive #1 bestseller everyone is talking about. But let's judge by the cover itself. I like the color. It's very neon orange. I don't think it's coming out quite on camera just how vibrant this orange is. Gone Girl, it's like interesting as a title, I think. Read it now, it's that good. Quite big, which I actually quite like. It's like, ooh, ooh. It's got some sort of splattering, which I'm not, even though I know what the book is about, I'm not entirely sure what that is signifying. But this isn't a bad cover. I would give this, I'm gonna give it a 4. Yeah. Okay, this is another side of the road pickup for sure. Stags. This is where I pick up on my thrillers, you know. I used to read loads of them, and now I don't really anymore unless I have them for free. But yeah, 9 students, 3 blood sports, 1 deadly weekend. So it kind of makes me think stag do maybe, or like loads of like students going on sort of like a weird sports outing kind of thing. It's giving me Saltburn. It's giving me those sort of vibe, posh people doing posh shit and somebody dying. Sorry, I swear. You're gonna have to get used to it. So, I think title, I remember I picked this up because I thought the cover looked interesting. You know, you've got obviously the stag there. I like how it sets the premise into the stags. The title is in quite nice font. I quite like this font. And the cover, you can see it's got this weird like sort of like cracked wall sort of thing. This is a very strong cover. I think I'm gonna give it a 4. Book of this shelf. My Sister, the Serial Killer. This is also a book that followed me around everywhere I went, and the title itself was just like, this is very intriguing, very interesting. So, I also used to be absolutely obsessed with serial killers. Well, I still am technically. So I was like, sounds like a book for me, you know. I would say this is a strong, very strong cover. I like the neon green. It's really neon green on the black. I like the fact that it's got a black woman on the cover. And I don't know, having a black woman as a serial killer is something very unusual, I think. And like My Sister, the serial killer, like immediately makes me think, oh, interesting. So I'm gonna... Oh, I only just now noticed that in her glasses is like a knife. I'm gonna give this a 5. This is really making me kind of want to read it. Like, ooh, like the title, the photo, the black and the green, everything about it is making me want to read it. Sorry if you heard my guinea pig. God, it scared me. She's fine. She's a drama queen. 5. On to this bookshelf. I've cleared up some of the other books that were in front of it that aren't actually for me to read. So this is the first one, A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. It's the prequel to the Hunger Games novels and movie. It was now made into a movie. I think I picked this book up before it was made into a movie. For free, by the street. Lovely hardcover book. Amazing. This cover is great. I mean, obviously I know what the book's about. But I think the title is very nice. You obviously have the sort of like songbird snake sort of thing. It's clearly about a conflict. It's got a sort of like the circling, like it's hypnotizing me. That's the word. It's a strong cover. I'm gonna give it 4. The Lies of Loch Lamora. This is actually a book for my husband that I bought for him. But it kind of sounded interesting, so I'm thinking about reading it too. It's got a quote by George R.R. Martin, which is great. I think the cover is quite exciting with the what looks like ravens. Yeah, I think it's a very good, strong cover. I'm gonna give it 4. Das verratene Herz von by Stephanie Hasse. The 4 Göttergaben. So this is the betrayed heart and the 4 gifts of God, I suppose. This is a German author. This is the second part in a duology, I think it's called. So there's 2 books. I've read the first one. It's very romancy, but it's interesting romance because essentially she lives in a kingdom where men and women are divided, and she loses the ability to love, that sort of thing. So this is the second one. I think the cover looks very interesting. Obviously, I know what it sort of is about. It's got obviously the kind of blood thing going on. I think the God's Gift thing is very interesting. It's not super exciting. I do like the kind of dark coloring thing that's going on. I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Now the next one is actually a trilogy of books that I picked up by the side of the road. Yeah, in very, very good condition. So don't judge me for doing these sort of things. But basically it is all about the Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children. So it's all about this the 3 novels, and I just read them in the wrong order. But I'm just gonna judge them by the first one, and leave the other 2 aside, because that's the one I would obviously read first. So this is the cover. Obviously it tells you it's now a major motion picture, but without like putting Eva Green on the cover, which I already like. I like the way it's written, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Like, the Peculiar Children is written peculiar. It's clearly showing a girl floating in what almost looks like it could be a real photo, right? So I think that's quite cool. I like the old tininess of it. I'm gonna give this a 4. I think this is a strong 4 in my completely subjective rating. Lady of the Wicked. This is also a German book by Laura Labas, which could be, she could be German, she could be English, not entirely sure. But it also says The Heart of a Witch. I definitely picked this book up by the cover, for sure. It's quite common, by the way, for German books to have English titles in Germany. It's quite common. I really like this cover. It's got lots of gold tailoring in it. The Lady of the Wicked is a very strong title, I think. There's a snake, and I love snakes. So I think this is... a 5 for me. Yeah, I've really, really liked this cover. It's got something about it. I don't know. The colouring and the gold. I have a thing about gold and things. I mean, look at Neil Gaiman. Yeah, 5. Stranger of Tempest. I think this may be a book for my husband again, but he definitely hasn't read it. Stranger of Tempest, quite an interesting title, but the cover image is what's really good. I quite like when especially fantasy books have quite intricate scenes, you know, it's quite nice. I mean, this is clearly a very demonic, kind of reminds me of Lord of the Rings type monster, and there is this like soul figure just facing them. This is a strong cover. I like it. Oh, what a quote. Grabs you by the throat on the first page. Wow. Yeah, this monster really does it for me. I'm gonna give it a 5. I'm like, ooh, what's this monster? I want to know more. Who's this person? Do they have any powers? Is it like just a human? Like, it's already getting my imagination going. Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. This book will delight you. What a nice quote. In opposition to, it will grab you by the throat. Although I kind of like to grab him by the throat more, even though it's quite violent, but it's quite like, ooh, I want to be grabbed by the throat. I want to like not be able to put a book down. I think the title of this book sounds very amazing. there's something about the blue, and it's also, you can't tell as I'm fondling the book, but it's like raised, and that does something to me. Texturally, that's very pleasing. This book has just earned at least another star from me just because I can fondle the book. I quite like that. This sort of symbol is quite interesting. I was gonna give it a 3, but now I'm gonna give it a 4 because of the fondle aspect. I quite like fondling books. What a strange thing to say. Spellsinger by Sebastian de Castell. I'm not quite sure. It's like interesting, but I'm not sure it interests me in the right way. It's definitely a very unusual and unique type of cover and side. It's got this sort of man with a cat on his shoulder and like symbols, and then there's a woman with playing cards. It's clearly very fantastical. I have no idea what the book is about though. I'm not sure I love it. So I'm gonna give this I'm gonna give it a 2. Yeah. Bitter Thorn by Cat Dunn. Signed by the author. Yay! I know that this is a book I picked up at a cover. It's got a slight see that? A slight luminescence about it. I like the little skull. It's got a little clock. I think the title, Bitter Thorn, is very like evocative. It immediately gets your creativity going. It doesn't tell you much about what it is about, but then you have the title and you've got like a house and thorns and like there's clearly some death involved. So I feel like it's strong enough without being more explicit and without telling you with a very explanatory quote or thing. Although if it did have like one sentence of what this book is about, I would maybe rate it higher. This is for me a strong 3.5, and if it had that one sentence where it would maybe go ooh, then would probably be a 4.5. Right, we are on to the final shelf. There is another shelf down here. Oh no, I just dropped something onto my guinea pigs. They are fine though. You're okay. She's fine. She was just like, what the hell? Yeah, there's another shelf down here, which is more like coloring books and graphic novels and stuff. So I'm not going to go through those today. But this is the final shelf, which is sort of just everything. It has no sorting. This is where I put the books that I can't work out where to put them. So let's start off. These were on top. I Married a Communist. Philip Roth. It's certainly a good cover. It immediately makes me go, oh, all right, tell me more. Well, it's not very explanatory. I feel it could be better, but I'm gonna give it a strong 3.5. William Golding, Lord of the Flies. It's got a nice little thing here. It isn't like a next page sort of thing, but that's quite nice. Obviously the title immediately grabs you. You will know Lord of the Flies, the title of the book. You might have read it before, you might know the story. But generally I don't think this is a great cover. It's kind of like this person feels very like superimposed rather than part of the cover. I'm not sure about the color choices here, nor the font. There's like, this font is different. Like, I'm just not a big fan of this. Sorry. The only thing it's got going for it is the fact that it's the Lord of the Flies, but 1 star. Jamie Oliver, Billy and the Giant Adventure. I got this one for free. It's probably the only children's book I have, in that sense. A hidden world, a magical secret, a journey I'll never forget. Oh, I think I quite like this cover though. I think I like the fact that you immediately know it's going to be about these people. It's a nice, diverse group of people. There's clearly something magical going on. It just immediately kind of makes me go, oh, that looks like it's going to be a very lovely book to read. So I'm going to give this a 4. Cursed Britain, a history of witchcraft even, and black magic in modern times. I mean, I picked this book up immediately because of the title / the cover. I was like, I am excited and intrigued. I'm very interested in misogyny and how it played part in the witchcraft stuff. It's obviously filled with little symbols from the thing. It's clearly a very descriptive title. I'm also quite intrigued because it does in modern times, so it's not looking at it back when things were going on. This is a strong cover. I'm gonna give this a 5. I like it. This is making me want to read it. I'm like, I want to know more about this topic. Yeah. The Fault in Our Stars. I believe I got this one from a colleague. Excuse the massive price. I did not pay that. Again, it has a little, now a major motion picture, but the cover hasn't been changed to reflect the movie. I never knew I had this issue, but apparently I do. It's clearly about a girl who's clearly got health issues, and boys, I immediately know it's about their relationship and probably their romantic relationship, because let's face it, that's what it usually is. Yeah, I think I want to know more. I want to know more about, like, oh, what are her health issues? What's going on? I have not seen the movie either. Kind of know what it's about, but beyond she's got health issues and he loves her, I don't know any more than that. So I'm gonna give this a 3.5. I'm gonna give this a 4. I am intrigued. I do want to know. I'm gonna give it a 4. This book everybody should own. This zombie survival guide. My husband and I do believe it will happen. So that's why I bought this, because you need to be prepared. So this is the zombie survival guide. Complete protection from the living dead. Clearly I don't care that much because I still haven't read it, despite having gifted this to my husband like years ago. So I'm not that concerned about it currently. It's from the author of World War Z. I quite like the brazenness. It's just like, we're gonna have fun with this cover. Like, it's not very, everything is kind of all over the place a bit. The author's name is sort of going into this place. You know, the zombies cut off. Like, it was clearly not like, this needs to be a very serious cover. It's got weapons on it. So I'm not expecting this to be a super serious book teaching me how to survive. But I do hope it will give me some pointers. Similar to Zombieland, perhaps. Which, I'm gonna say, those were good tips, you know. Cardio is important. It also says complete protection from the living dead. Like, it's clear that it's sure of its premise. So this is a very strong cover for me. I'm gonna give this a 5. I quite like this cover. It's very strong. I like it. Yeah, this is a 5 straight away. I remember seeing this and I loved it. So this is Part of Your World, A Twisted Tale, and this is part of a series of books that was released that was all about the Disney stories, the traditional ones, from the villain's point of view. So this is clearly the Little Mermaid from Ursula's point of view. But I love everything about this cover. I love the purple on black and the slight luminescence of it. I love the Ursula-ness of it, and I love the way they showed her in front of the sort of smoky thing. How they've highlighted certain aspects of her being in the purple. What if Ariel had never defeated Ursula? So the premise is right there. Yeah, this is a 5. Straight off. Tess of the Uberville. So this is a book that was actually very, very prolific. Very big, standing on its own. It was then obviously turned into BBC drama, which they've chosen to put on the cover. Not sure why, especially considering that this book was very prominent on its own. Like, it did not... I would say the book is more prominent than the BBC production of it. So I'm not sure why... Oh, it had Eddie Redmayne in it. Why they felt the need to put the lead on the cover. Like, it also doesn't tell me anything. Like, it tells me that that's Tess, and that's it. So, sorry. It's a 1. This cover does not do it for me at all. At all. I know nothing about what the story is. And I actually don't know much about the story. I'm not very good with my classics. I'm gonna try and work that up. Yeah, it's a 1. Sorry. Happy, my friend Cotton. Finding joy in everyday and letting go of perfect. So I do believe this is a non-fiction book. I think I again just found it. It's a foundling. But the premise of it was very interesting. I think I'm always quite interested in finding, kindness and gratitude in the things that I do in everyday life. Is the cover super exciting for me? Not really. I mean, the title is pretty good, but that's it for me. So I'm gonna give this a 1.5. I don't think I've given that before. It's not quite a 1, but it's not a 2 either. It's a 1.5. Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony. Sorry, all my books are not falling down. Anthony Durr. A dazzling epic of love, war, and the joy of books, which is a quote. But it's nice that the quote kind of tells me what the book is about. That's quite nice. I do like the cover of this. I like the title, Cloud Cuckoo Land. I'm like, what could that be? And then I look at, like, there's birds flying, and I like this, and there's, like, stuff going on down here. The quote is quite nicely placed and tells me a bit about what it is about. I think I quite like this, actually. I know this was given to me by a colleague who said, read it. She said she reads loads of epics, and she was like, this is an epic, read it. And I was like, okay. I'm gonna give this a 5. I really like it. It's a good cover. It kind of reminds me of Black Butterflies in a way. Okay, this one is great. It's called The Autobiography of a Supertramp by W.H. Davies. But the cover is very old faded, fashioned sort of thing. So I'm very intrigued by what I feel is a discrepancy between the cover and the cover. And that in itself is super, super intriguing to me. I have no recollection of ever picking this book up. I think I found it. I certainly did not pick it up and consciously bought it. And it doesn't seem like somebody would give to me either. But I'm really intrigued, even though I don't think the cover is great. it does it for me, so I'm gonna give it a 5. Like, I don't know. I just want to know what's going on here. What is this? Okay, all these books are kind of old looking, so I think I picked them up all together. And I probably picked up the autobiography of a Supertramp because I was like, what is this about? Because of the cover. This is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, and I have not, again, I'm very bad. Like in German, like in Germany in school, we didn't really read any of these like classics. So, and then I haven't read any since, but I feel like I need to rectify that. I might do a book series about me reading classics. Watch out for it. But this is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I quite like this sort of how it's set in itself. Emily Bronte, obviously, massive name. This is sort of telling me a little bit about the book, but not much. I do believe Wuthering Heights is about romance. See, this is how bad I am. So this book, actually, this looks to me like a child, so. But it is intriguing. I'm gonna give this a 4. Of Human Bondage. Again, this is clearly a very old book. This is a book, again, sort of a classic. The title of Human Bondage is very intriguing. You've clearly got somebody here who's a bit distraught. Not entirely sure what the flowers and the clearly bright windows doing. I'm not as intrigued as Wuthering Heights. I'm gonna give it a 3. Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt. More of a childhood. Again, now a major motion picture, but they did not see the need to put the motion picture on the cover. Yay! Actually, this is a very iconic cover. I feel like I've seen this cover on, like, every time I see this book, I see this cover. It kind of tells me immediately that this book, and I know this from down here, it's about a memoir, probably of a kid like this. Kind of tells me a little bit about potentially like the background, poor upbringing. So I think it's a very strong cover. This is a very strong photograph, isn't it, of a kid. There's something about ashes and Angela's Ashes, and I know a bit about the story. I think I saw the movie like a long time ago. I'm gonna give this 4.5. It's very strong. 4.5. Sebastian Junge, Der Sturm. Die letzte Fahrt der Andrea Geil. I do believe this is the book for the movie The Storm. But now that I see that it's got a German author, I'm not entirely sure. Because I don't remember the book for the movie having a German author. However, this is clearly about a storm, and the fact that this book never came back, the boat either never came back, or it was like its final voyage. It's got a massive storm on the cover with a lighthouse. I brought this back. I think I tried to read this when I was a teenager and got a bit bored by it. But I do want to try rereading it because I'm a very different person now than when I was like 15. I'm gonna give this a 3.5. It's not a bad cover. The colors are quite interesting, but it's not super exciting me to read it. That night, schuldig für immer or guilty forever. I think I picked this up from my parents' bookshelf and I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And they were like, take it, we don't read it. They don't read much anymore, shall I say. This is a thriller, as it also tells you right there. It does have a funny sort of luminescent sticker that says you have to read it. Interesting. It's clearly is about that night. There's something here with a leaf making me think pond, drowning, getting rid of a body, sort of thing. The leaf is broken. Interesting. It's not super definite for me. So I'm gonna say a 3. Our final, last book, and I just counted, and it's 75 books. That's not as many as I thought were on my bookshelf, which is good. Although there's still some on there, which is probably another 25 easily, because they're all like graphic novels and stuff. But yeah, if you're still with me, thank you for sticking with me. And this is the final. Kind 44 or Child 44. I took it from my dad's bookshelf because the cover spoke to me immediately. Actually, the thingy spoke to me, but then the cover a little bit, because the cover is like a replication. It's, I think, an English book, so you might be able to find it. Tom Rob Smith. I like the white with the grey and the Child 44 and the way it was written, and you've got like this. It also lets me fondle it. I love it. It's got some sort of luminescent thing going on. I don't know if you can tell. Oh, there you go. This is a 5 star. Yep, I like it. It kind of evokes something in me that makes me want to read it and be like, what's this about? We've done it. Now we gotta get to the next bit. Right, so now we have a few books that have all gotten 5-star ratings. So technically they're on equal footing. There's 12 books in total. There's Neil Gaiman and Northern Mythology, I think it's called. There's the Date with a Book about silkworms. There is Death of a Bookseller, My Sister the Serial Killer, Lady of the Wicked, A Stranger of Tempest, Cursed Britain, The Zombie Survival Guide, Part of Your World, the adapted story if Ariel had never defeated Ursula, The Autobiography of a Supertramp, and Child 44. I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to read the back of all of them and rate the back according to how exciting I find it out of 12 so that we can then eventually have an winner, and that can be the book I read. I will have to do that another day though. It is very hot. I am dying today, and it's already taken me a very long time to record this, so I will be back, if you keep watching, literally in a minute. But I will have to do this another day where I will probably look different. Maybe have less hair, who knows. So stick with me, and I will be back. Hi. Right, like I promised you, we will now look at all the books that are rated 5 stars. I did not think I was going to end up with 12 books rated 5 stars, but here we are. Looking at their descriptions, what they are about, and I'm going to rank them from 1 to 12, so that we will eventually end up with, 1 at the top, for sure. So I think we should just get started. Right, this is them all. I'm gonna try and show you. Whoop! I actually forgot about Cloud Cuckoo Land earlier when I said 12. So I am just gonna start from the top and go all the way to the bottom. This is a very heavy book thing and it might fall over. So I'm gonna go and come back. Right, I've got my trusty notepad. I've got the books down here. And I'm just gonna go through them one by one. I'm not going to tell you the score as I do them, because I will probably change the score like 15 times. So I will just tell you the final score when I've got it. So we're starting with The Autobiography of a Supertramp. Now this book doesn't have any like thing. I even checked like the beginning to see if there was anything there, but there's nothing. Although somebody drew a lovely little thing there. Love that. That's what you get when you get used books. I love that sort of stuff. So I'm gonna have to go by just the title on the cover, and it's gonna have to stand up against all the others that will have something to say about themselves. So I'm gonna rate it, and we'll see. I also have the strong feeling that tramp in this book is not the same as the tramp what I think. So we'll see. Child 44. So this is in German, so I'm gonna have to kind of auto-translate as I go, which is very strange. So in the Soviet Union during Stalin's time, there are officially no crimes, but a murderer is running around and nobody is allowed to stop him. Moscow in 1953. On our train tracks, they find the body of a naked boy, tortured horribly, but officially, as I just said, in the Soviet Union, there are no murders or no crime, so the murder becomes an accident. But Leo Demidov officer cannot close his eyes, so when the next murder happens, he starts investigating on his own and brings his and his family in deadly danger. And it was given the Steel Dagger for Best Thriller of the Year. This is exciting. I like the whole Soviet Union thing. Yeah, I'm gonna... Now this is, again, another book that won't have much to say about itself, so it's gonna have to stand up on its own. And I'm just gonna have to rate it based on what it says here. So that's all I know about the plot. Stranger Tempest. So let's see. It's book 1 of the God Fragments. Interesting. For a damsel in distress, she was rather more spattered with someone else's blood than Lynx had expected. And naked. Very naked. I like this. Well, she demanded. Lynx could only gape a while longer. Finally, his words spilled out in an abashed mumble. Come to rescue you, miss. You'll have to wait, she snapped at the knot of mercenaries crowding the doorway. I'm busy. Oh, I like this! I really, really like this. Considering this was a book I think I got from my husband, not for myself. I like this a lot. I like the fact that it's like actually giving me a scene from the book. That's quite nice. See, now I'm already changing the rating of other books. I'm making like little notes of like the books so I remember like what they were about, so that when I rejig them I can be like, oh, that was that. Right, Part of Your World. It's been 5 years since the infamous sea witch defeated the Little Mermaid, taking King Triton's life in the process. It's like I can't read, right? Ariel is now the voiceless queen of Atlantica, while Ursula runs Prince Eric's kingdom on land. But when Ariel discovers that her father might still be alive, she finds herself returning to a world and a prince she never imagined she would see again. Will Ariel be able to overthrow the murderous villain set on destroying her home and the world she once longed to be a part of? Follow this tale of power, love, and a mermaid's quest to reclaim her voice. I have to say, this is actually like not making me excited, because I was really excited about the fact that in this book Ursula won. But now it sounds like the whole book is about basically trying to go back to the original, just a bit later. So I don't find that interesting and exciting at all. That's disappointing. I love this cover as well. And I love Ursula. She's like one of my favorite Disney villains. The favorite Disney villain. Yeah, I don't like this. This is just like, let's do the original again. And like, throw this concept in the bin. Cursed Britain. Why do so many Britons react to disaster even now by blaming dark and supernatural forces? This is the definite history of how witchcraft and black magic have survived from the 19th century through to present day. And that's all. The rest is all quotes about how amazing the book is. It's interesting because the cover really got me excited, but the back doesn't get me as excited. It's the zombie survival guide. Don't be reckless with your most precious asset, life. This book is your key to survival against the hordes of undead who may be stalking you right now without you even knowing it. The Zombie Survival Guide offers complete protection through proven tips for safeguarding yourself and your loved ones against the living dead. It is a book that could save your life. It does have a little biography of the author. I'm going to read it. Max Brooks lives in New York City, but is ready to move to a more remote and defensible location at a moment's notice. I like that. His recent World War Z was hailed by fellow zombie expert Simon Pegg as an absolute must-have. And this guy is very funny, clearly. I feel like I'm gonna laugh a lot in this book. Cloud Cuckoo Land. Let's see. There's magic in this place. You just have to sit and breathe and wait, and it will find you. 15th century Constantinople, present-day Idaho. The future and humanity's lost hope. Across time and space, 5 young dreamers are bound by a single ancient text, together to tell the story of a world in peril, of the power of words, of resilience, and of hope against all odds. The Pulitzer Prize-winning author of All the Light We Cannot See returns with a heartbreaking, magnificent epic of human connection and a love letter to storytelling itself. I like this. I like the Constantinople and Idaho, which you wouldn't normally put together, right? I like how it talks about the power of words and a world in peril. I feel like I know what it is about, but don't know what it's about and want to know more about it. I should also say that I feel bad because my colleague loaned me this / gave it to me, but I do want to give it back to her, so I'm gonna give like an extra point for the fact that I want to return this book, because I feel bad keeping it for maybe the next 5 years. So yeah, I'm gonna read it. My Sister the Serial Killer. When Corradi's dinner is interrupted one night by a distress call from her sister Ayola, she knows what's expected of her. Bleach, rubber gloves, nerves of steel, and a strong stomach. This will be the 3rd boyfriend Ayola dispatches in self-defense, and the 3rd mess that her lethal little sibling has left Corrade to clear away. She should probably go to the police for the good of the menfolk in Nigeria, but she loves her sister, and as they say, family always comes first. Until, that is, Ayola starts dating the doctor, where Corrade works as a nurse. Corradi's sorry if I say any of the names the wrong way, by the way. Corradi's long been in love with him, and isn't prepared to see him wind up with a knife in his back. But to save one would mean sacrificing the other. I don't think I've ever read the book of this. The back of this, I mean. I didn't expect it to be Nigeria. I find that very interesting. But I get the feeling that the funny part about her sister being a serial killer, sort of Dexter style, is only gonna take a part of the book, and romance might take up a big part of it, so I'm not immediately like gripped by it. It's not like, I'm busy. Only 3 more. There is an end to this. Lady of the Wicked. This one. Oh, this is again in German, so I'm gonna have to like auto-translate. 2 condemned ones who could not be more different. Oh, sorry. I don't think I've ever read the back of this, but I should have. 1 curse that will tie their fates together. This is the kind of thing when I read it on the back, I just put it way back down. But maybe the rest of this is gonna be. I think I read this, so the rest of this must have been exciting enough for me. Darcia Bonnet wants to be the Countess of the Wicked, the dark witch souls who use their power to bring back their siblings from, this is a really bad translation, to bring back their sisters from the other side. But to do this, she has to kill 13 witches. While Darcia is looking in the streets of New Orleans for her hunt, Valence Marquise is coming across her, on whom a horrible curse lasts. Darcia could be his last hope. The two condemned ones make a pact and have to understand that their fates are now forever connected. I think I like the top part of this more, like the bit about her wanting to become this countess and she has to kill 13 other witches in order to do it. Like, that's interesting. But then, like, a man comes along and suddenly it's like, that's what it's about. Death of a bookseller. It does not have anything on the back, but it might do in the little sleeve bit. Would you kill for a good story? Roach, bookseller, loner, and true crime fanatic, has no interest in making friends. She has all the company she needs in her serial killer books, murder podcasts, and her pet snail, Bleep. Oh, that's why there's a snail. That is until Laura joins the bookshop. With her cute literary tote bags and sunny smile, she's everyone's favorite bookseller. But beneath the shiny veneer, Roach senses a darkness within Laura, the same darkness Roach possesses. And as curiosity blooms into morbid obsession, Roach becomes determined to be part of Laura's story, whether Laura wants her in it or not. Oh, this is it says here, deliciously dark, unsettling, and utterly addictive. Death of a Bookseller is a roller coaster of suspense that will make your skin crawl and your heart pound. I like when I get a little bit of a flavor for the way the author writes. This is making me really excited. I like the idea of somebody listening to like crime podcasts and getting very obsessed with another woman. It gives me Killing Eve in a bit. Yeah, very good. I also seem to have this problem, which I knew I was going to have, that all the books are either like in my top 3 or 4 or like in the bottom 3. So I'm going to have to sort out my list. I'm going to go straight to Neil Gaiman. Norse mythology. Before the beginning, there was nothing. No earth, no heavens, no stars, no sky. Only the mist world, formless and shapeless, and the fire world, always burning. From the dawn of the world to the twilight of the gods, this is a dazzling retelling of the great Norse myths from the award-winning best-selling Neil Gaiman. I like it. I like the writing is still like shiny. The intro paragraph, there was nothing, no earth, no heavens. This is very like I feel like I'm already in the book sort of thing. I like it. Right, now I'm gonna have to go and rank them and then tell you the final ranking. Right, I'm gonna reveal it in 3 stages because the books are very heavy and I can't do it another way. So these are my bottom ones. Number 12 is this, Part of Your World, Lady of the Wicked 11, My Sister's Serial Killer 10, and Chris Britton number 9. Right, these books are extremely unlike each other, so I'm gonna try my best. Child 44, Norse Mythology, Autobiography of a Supertramp, Zombie Survival Guide, and Death of a Bookseller. So that's 8 to 4. And now I'll show you the top 3 in the ranking. Number 3 is my mysterious little silkworm book. I'm just really interested. I want to know what's up with that. So that's number 3. And then you might have guessed which one I picked as number 1. But this is Cloud Cuckoo Land. It's got number 2. I'm really excited to read this one actually after reading the back of it. And yeah, really excited. But the one that just stole my heart with the back of it and just immediately excited me, and I kind of want to start reading it right now, but I can't, was Stranger of Tempest. It seems to be an unlikely heroine, an unlikely hero. There seems to be like the male-female thing going on, but in a different way, which I'm totally here for. There's going to be monsters. I love it. I'm actually quite excited about reading this. So what I'm gonna do, because this video is already so long, I will let you go, but I will not publish this until I've read the book and have filmed a review of the book, and I will publish them both at the same time and like link to each other, so that you can then go straight into finding out how I like this book if you want to. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this. It was a long journey, but Christ, we've made it. If you're still here, please do come back. Not all of my videos are this long. In fact, this is like the longest. And I do have like a lovely list now, and we can do further fun stuff like reading all the ones that I maybe rated 1 star and seeing if they're as bad as I think, or yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and much love to you, and go do something else now.